And welcome to Rob Schmitt tonight. We start with a pretty big update here. The president just posting on Truth Social that he has wrapped this big meeting today with Zalinsky and the leaders of the EU as the West pushes toward a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine, as the White House and the president really push to end another of these wars that need to be ended. The president saying that security guarantees for Ukraine were discussed all afternoon, which would be handled by the Europeans. The wording is important here, but coordinated by the United States. They were really trying to push him to have U.S. involvement, to have our troops in there securing Ukraine during this, as they try to get a peace deal, and the president didn't bite on that. He says the EU can handle it, and he'll be kind of the backstop, is what seems to be the indication. He also says that he called Putin to start setting up a meeting very soon between he and Zalinsky. So Putin and Zalinsky are going to meet. There's some light reporting out there that indicates that could happen here in the next 10, 12 days. And if that goes well, if the meeting between Putin and Zalinsky goes well, the three of them, with Trump there, will meet after that. So this moved really fast today. And of course, it all comes on the heels of what we saw Friday with the Alaska summit with Putin and Trump. And a big update tonight is Zelensky's second White House meeting went much smoother than the first, which is the big story, right? The leader of Ukraine arrived at the White House this afternoon for the first time since the February disaster that we all remember, when Trump and J.D. Vance shredded him in front of all those cameras. This time, Zalinsky wore a suit. It was all black. Kind of looked like a rock star or something like that, but at least he had a suit on. Clearly, he took the cue after a conservative reporter asked him last time why he just refused to dress up to go to the White House.
President Zalinsky, you look fabulous in that suit.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, you look good.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, looks good on
I
you.
said the one that attacked you last time. See, now he's I remember that.
Yeah, I apologize to you. You look wonderful. No, my first question for you, President Zalinsky.
In the same suit. You see, I changed, you are not.
Maybe yours is much better.
So that's a look at kind of the vibe of what it looked like this afternoon. If you missed it, and then they went behind closed doors for several hours. It just wrapped at around 6 o'clock this evening. And beyond his attire, Zalinsky clearly showed more respect this time at the White House, no longer attempting to lecture the Trump White House on how they're handling this, while also demanding that the Trump White House continue to spend billions of dollars to prop up his country in what is an unwinnable war for Ukraine without the assistance of the West. Let's just give you a flashback to just how ugly this thing was in late February. Take a look.
What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you are not strong...
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to...
Come once.
Remember how ugly that was? They're talking about trying to get diplomacy here, and Zalinsky basically telling them there's no way to have diplomacy with Russia. We just have to fight this war endlessly, forever. There's no way to cut a deal. And he got it handed to him for that. This time it was quite a bit different, as Trump, Zalinsky, and several EU leaders began to negotiate some kind of a land swap deal, dealing with all that land to the east of Ukraine, in eastern Ukraine, that would somehow appease both Russia and also Ukraine. Take a listen.
We've had a very successful day thus far. Important discussions as we work to end the killing and stop the war in Ukraine. We're all working for the same goal.
We had very good conversation with President Trump.
Very good.
And it really was the best one. Maybe the best one will be in the future. But it was really good.
I think if we play this well, we could end this. And we have to end it.
Now we are here to work together with you on a just and lasting peace for Ukraine. Stop the killing.
It's a very good day, the one we are in, to absolutely support your efforts towards peace.
So Russia wants part of the Donbass. Ukraine doesn't want to give it up. There's going to be some way to coordinate this to create a deal that satisfies both parties, and Russia's going to keep the island to the south, right there on the sea, according to the president. And all of this comes after Friday's Alaska summit with Vladimir Putin, of course. And that incredible. I thought the best video of the whole thing was the flyover, the stealth bomber flyover right over Putin's head, which, let's be honest, that's a pretty serious flex to fly the same bomber that wiped out Iran's nuclear program. Just say, hey, this is what we got. But that summit, of course, was widely mocked by the American media, what we saw on Friday. Even the Murdoch-owned Wall Street Journal, which stated Trump rolled out the red carpet for Putin. He got little in return, saying President Trump welcomed his Russian counterpart to Alaska with the former showman's signature extravagance, a red carpet, a military flyover, and a ride in the presidential limousine. But Trump headed back to Washington with little to show for all the pageantry. They have no patience whatsoever. They'll sit there and they'll report on a war that goes on for 20 years, breathlessly. But when you try to end that war, if you don't get it done in the first 10 minutes, you will be mocked. That's the media to wit. Here's how it sounded on TV.
The United States government quite literally rolled out the red carpet for Vladimir Putin. The Russian leader's plane was escorted by American jets. Once on the ground, Putin was met with applause and a warm handshake from President Trump.
They're seeing this guy in the White House bending over backwards for autocrats, making our service members literally roll out the red carpet for a mass murderer.
American service members literally rolling out a red carpet. Trump applauded. He shook Putin's hand. He invited him into the presidential limo.
Heroes welcome, red carpet, ride in the president's limousine and all for Putin.
They don't want it to end. They hate the idea of the war ending, and they really hate the idea of Trump potentially ending the war and it skyrocketing his approval rating or something like that. So brainwashed by this deep state in this country, which has convinced our media that this war must be fought until Russia surrenders. The much stronger, more powerful country must be fought in this war until they somehow surrender, which they don't. Do they think they care how many billions and trillions we have to spend to get that done, regardless of how many decades it takes, how many hundreds of thousands of lives, maybe millions of lives that it costs to get to that point where maybe in 10 or 20 years, Putin finally just gives up after we've propped it up? I mean, how many men are going to be left in Ukraine by that point? Do you think the media cares? They couldn't care less. Armed with a very cursory knowledge of this war and key catchphrases like the Donbass and Donetsk, the media experts marginalizing any progress we could potentially see. That's all they're going to do as we watch this unfold, if it does unfold. I mean, what the president's trying to do is very hard. It's a hell of a lot easier to just keep throwing money at Ukraine, by the way, like Biden did. It's not his money. It's our money. Yeah, 50 billion, 100 billion, 50 billion, 100 billion. It's a lot easier than trying to end a war. This is politically risky. This is tough stuff. This is what the president's doing because he's got the cojones to try. And if Zalinsky is asked to give up even an inch of his territory in all of this, which he will be, then the ending of this war, if it does end, will be labeled as Trump's capitulation to Russia and Putin. They will mock the peace. They will ignore the countless lives saved and the tragedies averted. You know, everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmitt tonight on Newsmax.